I, 33F, have been married to my husband, 32M, since November 2023. My parents bought us a house using equity from their own home and paid cash for it 5 months ago. The title is in my mom's name and mine, and we're essentially paying them back for helping us out. They did this to give us a stable foundation for our family, especially for our son, who I will refer to as my son for privacy. Now, my husband is demanding to be added to the deed of the house, but I don't think that's fair. He has only been contributing minimally to the home and family finances. He's had multiple jobs over the last few months, and there were times I had to cover his share of rent when he was between jobs. I also ended up having to pay for all of the wedding and buy all the baby's things on my own, while he contributed very little. The problem is that my parents have made it clear that the equity in the house is not to be touched, as it is meant to be used to pay off the rest of their home. This is something I've agreed to and respected, but now my husband is insisting that unless he's added to the deed, he won't pay his portion of the house expenses. This feels manipulative to me, especially since he hasn't financially contributed in a meaningful way. I've tried to come up with solutions, like working together to build his credit and pay off his debts, so we can get a house in both our names in the future. But he wants ownership now, and it's putting a lot of strain on me emotionally, especially since I'm also going through cancer treatment and juggling my family's care. My parents have been a huge help, providing full-time daycare for our son, which has saved us a lot of money. I trust them to care for him, and they've been our backbone. My husband has only shown limited interest in helping, and his actions have made things harder for me. So, am I the a-hole for deciding to divorce him after demanding he be put on the deed when we've only been married for a few months, and he hasn't contributed financially? Comment 1. You realize he'll be forced to contribute if you separate and put him on child support. It sounds like you're twisting yourself in knots to make a relationship work with this man while he puts no effort in and makes demands. That's not a partnership. Is that really how you want to spend the rest of your life? Is this the model for a relationship that you want your son to grow up with? NTA, but you really need to stop focusing on this relationship and start focusing on you and your son. Comment 2. He has a history of changing jobs, or flat up not having one, and now has the audacity to start making demands about the deed to the house? Making threats that he won't pay anything more until you add him? Absolutely not. Divorce this guy. The house is to remain in you and your mother's names. Hopefully you will be able to set up a trust with it as well so he can't try to steal half of it. He sounds like a money-hungry, grubby swindler. Story 2, booking my own Airbnb so I don't have to sleep on a couch for 6 nights? My immediate and extended family have booked a vacation for later in the summer. My aunt who found this place knew the owner and they got a great deal. My aunt initially said there are 6 bedrooms. 1 room for her and her husband, my uncle, 1 room for my parents, 1 room for my cousin and her husband, 1 room for my other cousin and his wife, and 1 room for their kids are both under 10. The last bedroom, you may wonder, is where my aunt made an innocent mistake in miscounting. There are only 5 bedrooms. They told me that my boyfriend and I will have to sleep on a pull-out couch. I told my parents I would rather not sleep on a couch even if it does pull out. I also don't want to make my boyfriend sleep on the couch with me either for his own privacy. It's in the living room, which is in the middle of everything. I would rather not be woken to people starting their day, and I would rather not have to change in the bathroom each and every time or even leave all my stuff in the living room as well. I don't want to change in my parents' room either because I know I would probably rush so that they can have their own privacy. I don't want to put my luggage in anyone else's room and fill their room with my clutter. Same goes for my boyfriend, I don't want to make him do all that either. My family has never had this big of a vacation all together in such a long time. I would love to be involved and whatnot, but I said I would rather not go if I can't have a room to myself, or I'll book my own place nearby and I will pay for my part for the main house everyone is in regardless. My mom refused both options as I will ruin the trip if I don't stay under the same roof. If I get my own place to stay, it would solely be to sleep. I plan to be with my family at all other times and events. I don't care about the price of only getting an Airbnb just to sleep. I want my privacy. Haven't mentioned it to my cousins or anyone else yet that I'm considering getting my own place as close as possible, though. Comment 1. There's no way an adult couple should be sharing a pull-out couch in the living room while actual children are in a bedroom. It's a matter of privacy and, quite frankly, decency. It just isn't appropriate for adults in a relationship to be sleeping where children can just walk in on them at any time. If Aunt thinks children should be in a bedroom, they can have cots in hers. Or with your parents. Explain this. That you will not be sharing a bed with your boyfriend without privacy. Your aunt Ed up by not getting enough bedrooms for everyone. Her kids can take the L on her behalf. Comment 2. NTA, your own personal space is important. If anyone should be in the living room, it's the kids. And when they need privacy, they can go to their parents' rooms. My mom is like this. We travel every year for family reunion and she wants me to stay at my aunt's, where sometimes it's so full some of us have to sleep on the floor. I have teenage children, that's how old I am. She got mad I wanted to get a hotel room. She even got mad when I chose to stay at my cousin's house, which was 20 minutes away. I don't listen to her and sleep where I want. Story 3, refusing to give up the master bedroom to a friend's boyfriend during a group cabin trip. My friend group, me, 26M, my girlfriend, 25F, and friends J, 25M, Eva, 26F, Liam, 25M, and Frank, 26M, has a tradition of renting a cabin every summer/winter. The cabin has a master bedroom, double bed, a twin room, 2 single beds, a loft, 2 single beds, and a pull-out couch in the living room. My girlfriend and I have always paid extra to use the master exclusively. Everyone else shares the remaining beds, and Eva usually takes the couch since she snores and doesn't want to room with a guy. This year, Frank asked if his boyfriend Ed, 28M, could come with us. None of us hadn't met him, but Frank said he'd cover meals to make up for the cost. Ed seemed nice at first and paid for dinner the first night, which was cool. Problems started when we got to the cabin. Ed said he and Frank wanted to take the master bedroom. I told him, maybe a little harshly, that my girlfriend and I usually use it since we pay extra. Ed said he didn't get what the big deal was and that we could sleep in one of the single beds or the couch. These single beds are small and could not comfortably fit 2 people, plus Eva would have to share a room with one of the guys, and she didn't want to. Ed said that my GF and Eva could share the couch, and I could room with one of the other guys. I didn't want to room with a guy when my GF and I have been together a lot longer, and there's no reason for me to room with someone else in favor of a couple who's been together less than a year. Jay and Liam tried to help, like giving Ed and Frank the couch so they could sleep side by side, but Ed said he didn't feel comfortable in open spaces and insisted on the master. Ed and I argued more, and he called me homophobic, saying I didn't support his and Frank's relationship by not letting them share a room. I was about to shout when my girlfriend shut me up and told Ed we'd take the couch. We didn't see them much the rest of the trip. I mostly hung out with my GF and Eva on hikes. Ed and Frank used the master and left a few days early. My GF Jay, Liam, Eva and I have been talking about what happened. Jay supports me, but Eva and Liam said I made a huge deal out of nothing and that letting them have the master for a week wasn't a big deal. Even my GF says I took things too far by keeping everyone up. I'm still pissed about being kicked out of the room, but I think I might be a hole because it was late and everyone wanted to sleep, but I kept dragging out the argument, and I didn't welcome Ed after he argued with me. Comment 1. Frank knew that you always took the master. Ed may not have known, but when he brought it up, Frank should have told him that you always pay extra and take that room, and perhaps next trip they could arrange something different. They have no right to demand undiscussed changes at the last second and then throw out the homophobia card when they don't get their way. And I say this as a gay man. Use your words in advance like adults and everyone can leave happy. Comment 2. NTA, but why on earth did you argue with a guest on your trip? I would have ignored him while unpacking my suitcase. You did make a big deal out of it by arguing when you were right. You didn't have a point to make, you didn't need to make a point. Make sure you get back the extra money you paid for the master bedroom. Story 4, bringing my own food to a dinner party because the host always serves stuff I can't eat. So, I have a sensitive stomach and a long list of food intolerances, nothing life-threatening, just enough to make me very sick. My friend group does monthly dinners where one person hosts and cooks. I love these nights, but the host this month is known for not really caring about dietary needs. I told her ahead of time that I'd bring my own dish just so I didn't have to stress, and she said, "Sure, whatever." So I showed up with my container of food, didn't make a big deal, served myself, and joined everyone at the table. Apparently, she got offended. After dinner, she pulled me aside and said I was disrespectful and insulting her cooking, and that if I didn't trust her, I shouldn't have come. I was honestly confused. I'd told her ahead of time and wasn't dramatic about it. Now a couple of mutual friends are telling me I should have just skipped the dinner instead of making it weird. But I feel like I did the most respectful thing I could. Comment 1, NTA, you asked in advance. She agreed. That should have been the end of it. Had you shown up with your own food without telling her, I could see why she would be upset. But that isn't what happened here. Comment 2. NTA. My best friend has to avoid so many things, she has to bring food everywhere, in public and people's homes. It's not a big deal. We want her there and we want her to be able to eat. Extra. Refusing to dress like a background extra for a wedding I wasn't even invited to? A few weeks ago, I begrudgingly agreed to be my friend Ethan's +1 to a wedding for some guy we went to high school with, not someone I've kept in touch with or ever expected to see again. The wedding's in early June, still about 3 weeks out, and it's happening on some island off the coast of Massachusetts. We're staying at a resort in Salem. I don't love weddings. Traveling without my own transportation stresses me out, and I was already pushing it by saying yes. This week, Ethan tells me we have to go suit shopping. I'm confused. Why? I already own a black suit. I'm a +1, not part of the wedding party. Turns out the couple sent out a literal color palette for guests to dress in: pale grays, taupes, and soft pastels. They encourage everyone to stick to the scheme. No warning. No heads up. Just a full-on vibe control memo like we're extras on a movie set. Ethan wanted us in matching light grey suits with pastel blue or green ties. I'm sorry, but I wear black, navy, maroon. Maybe beige if I'm feeling wild. That's it. I'm not about to spend money on a pastel-tied suit for a wedding I wasn't even actually invited to. I told him to cancel my +1 because I'm not going anymore. Now he's annoyed, saying I'm bailing last minute and making him look bad because people were expecting me. He left me on read and said he would talk to me when I was willing to be reasonable. We've been friends since freshman year of high school and have talked pretty much every day since. We're 28 and 29 now. But I didn't agree to be a prop in someone else's wedding photo aesthetic. I'm a guest of a guest. The wedding is still 22 days out. Surely he can find another +1 who's down to dress like a decorative macaron.